Okay, here's the deal. I got Lindsey Williams on in the next hour about the oil spill. And, of course, he worked for oil companies for many years as inside sources that have proven to be extremely accurate. And so he'll be joining us to give us his take on that. He says he has exclusive information that he's breaking here on this radio broadcast. During that hour, I'm going to have open phones on the oil spill and the oil spill only because people want to talk about this, and I think it's important to discuss on so many different angles. But specifically, the phones are open for people who have seen military on the Gulf Coast. Because it is true, and it is documented, that tens of thousands of National Guard have been dispatched, finally, 40-something days into this, to help out with what's going on down there. But I've gotten separate reports that are unconfirmed, that they're preparing an evacuation of the area and that FEMA is going to take control of the entire Gulf Coast region from the eastern Texas coast area all the way around Florida and up the East Coast. Because the oil is going to go over around Florida and up the East Coast. I mean, they know how those currents flow, and it's already going that direction, just as the satellites models predicted months ago or several weeks ago. Now, FEMA did lock down New Orleans and didn't bring food and water for 5 days. People in the Superdome and wouldn't let people walk out over the highways and ordered cops to gun them down, and then the cops followed orders and went to prison for it. Remember, that was a conspiracy theory the first few months. There were not police shooting innocent people trying to leave. Well, now those cops are in prison under FEMA orders. I'm not saying it was good what they did, but who's worse, those that follow the orders or those that gave the orders? Well, historically, those that give the orders, are even more guilty than those that carry them out. It's like Bush saying last week on television, I would order waterboarding and torture again. Okay, well, you ordered people in Afghanistan and Iraq to torture. When they got caught, a bunch of them went to prison. They tried to bring it up in court that they were ordered to, but the Patriot Act was declared to block that from being in court. So we better let them out of prison real fast. If George W. can run around saying he'd do it all over again, this needs to be heard by a court. Or we need to release these people that did the torture right now. Because you can't have Bush running around free while the people that followed orders are in prison. I mean, folks, this is all common sense logic. And it really makes my head hurt. Some days I love doing the show. Some days I get frustrated and angry. And some days I get so frustrated and angry I can't even think straight. I mean, oh. It is really making my head hurt. I mean, physically making my head hurt. Well, here it is. Pentagon okays up to 17,500 guardsmen for Gulf oil spill cleanup. And some of the first units are just now arriving. 6,000 for Louisiana, 3,000 Alabama, 2,500 for Florida, 6,000 for Mississippi. And they just now announced this, okay, a couple days ago. And they're just now starting to arrive. So that's confirmed, yes, and that's been on the news. What has not been confirmed is that they're preparing to evacuate and force people out. But, I mean, as crazy as that sounds, no reason to evacuate from some oil. FEMA will use any excuse to set the precedent that it's the boss. And that's why they love this oil spill going on forever. But I don't want to hear Jindal and everybody complaining about the Fed's non-response and saying we're not allowed to, boo-hoo, the Feds won't let us. Well, then you've got the 9th and 10th Amendment. The federal government is not there to blow your nose. But the federal government's saying you're not allowed to blow your own nose. They've got to do it. Well, Pastor Lindsey Williams is with us in this fourth and final hour today. He, of course, was a pastor in the oil fields back in the 70s in Alaska, and then was brought in to be the chaplain in between these large corporate meetings between CEOs. He wrote a book, Energy Non-Crisis, that was a bestseller. It's now become mainstream news that a very small portion of the oil that is brought out of Alaska is used in the U.S., about 20%. Some years it's 25%, but normally about 80% gets shipped out to Asia. and they can build more pipelines. There's more oil there than in Saudi Arabia. That's now admitted. They covered it up for 25 years now. It's been admitted. Obama announces they're going to allow drilling, and then magically BP CEO dumps a third of his stock. Goldman Sachs, who was the chairman of Goldman Sachs, just so happened to be the international chairman of BP when this happened. Isn't that just special? And they dumped 44% of their stock 2 days before, record dumping. There was this strange refitting done that no one will say who did it. Obama said, I'm sending SWAT teams at first, like it could be terrorism. Some say he wants to use this to nationalize oil companies. We know he's in the Washington Post saying he wants to get a carbon tax passed now to pay for this. So it is really bizarre. And in this hour, we're going to go to your phone calls. Gary, John, Terry, who's a petroleum engineer for 12 years. Matt in Ohio, Mike in Mass. And the petroleum engineer says they're a 12-year insider with Halliburton. So we're going to intersperse calls with Lindsey Williams, and I'm going to go to the petroleum engineer when we come back in the next segment. So we're limited on time today, Lindsey. We appreciate you breaking this here. So can you give us a boiled-down synopsis of the information in total, and then over the hour we'll go through different facets of it in more detail?
Alex, thank you for letting me be with you. I contacted the Mr. X with my book, The Energy Non-Crisis, for the truth of what really happened and is happening. He was willing to tell me everything. And what he told me, I knew that the Alex Jones Show is the only place that I can get this information out to the masses quick enough before they can stop it from being given. He basically told me what happened and what is happening and what is going to happen in the Gulf of Mexico oil gusher.
Well, Lindsey, I'm almost holding my breath. I almost don't want to know, but tell us what he said.
Well, first of all, what people are going to hear on your show today is catastrophic. I beg of them to get a pencil and piece of paper and take notes and send this program to every person you know. The people of America must know the truth about the Gulf of Mexico oil gusher, because the oil is not, I hope you're hearing this word, the oil is not the greatest danger. That black stuff in the water, what comes up with the oil is what is deadly. The oil itself only destroys wildlife and fish and oysters and shrimp and the pristine white beaches and the marshlands and the coral reefs. What comes out with that gusher is causing the death of humans and unborn babies. And I'm going to give the details of this today exactly as was given to me by the Mr. X of my book, The Energy Non-Crisis. And please, folks, believe me, this is so catastrophic that I have never had anything like this in my years to ever come my way.
Well, again, this is a former oil company CEO, and you've certainly got good intel from him before when fuel was at $55 a barrel in early 2008. You talked to him, and he said it was going to go up to 150. It did do that. People laughed at you at the time. I hope he's wrong about this, but we'll get your breakdown of this on the other side. Then we'll talk to Terry in Ohio, Gary, John, Matt, Mike, and everybody else. Everybody stay there. We're going to get to you coming up. But first, Lindsey Williams on the other side.